Hey everybody, welcome to Workforce Gaming. I'm Brad here with Doug.
Hi.
Doug finally, and I shouldn't really say finally because I've only had mine for about 2 months, but Doug finally
Yeah,
got on board with the Switch.
I did.
Um,
Yeah.
so Mario was the ultimate final straw that I think pushed him over. So we're here
Yeah.
to talk about Mario because it's
Yes.
amazing.
It's pretty damn good. I think my opinion is it's like it is an excellent game. I don't know if it's number one game on Metacritic ever good. You know?
Well,
Like
okay, before let's pause for a second before we get
yeah.
any further. First of all, we're going to talk about spoilers and stuff.
Yeah.
Some people obviously don't care about Mario spoilers, but we're going to talk about some of the cooler things that happen towards the end of the game. Obviously, the story spoilers are it's a Mario game, you already know what it is. But
Yeah.
if you don't want to hear about the stuff that you do in the game and all that kind of stuff, we're going to talk about that. And I think another good point to start here before you get to this, now that you're saying your opinion already, I'm a huge Mario fan, have been since the Super
Yeah.
Nintendo. Big Nintendo person. Doug, this is the first Nintendo console I think you've ever owned outside of like a Game Boy, right?
Yeah, I had a Nintendo DS, so I actually played the DS Mario game. That's the other Mario game I've beaten.
So
It was not good.
this is this is Mario number 2 for you essentially.
I'll say probably. No. Actually, one of the big things I want to talk about is I played the Mario Land series a lot in a lot of the Wario Land games, and this. Oh, we'll get into it, but this feels like an extension of those games more than I've seen of an extension of what I've seen of like New Super Mario Brothers and whatever the last few years. Even though I haven't played those, it felt to me more like a Mario Land game for better and for worse than it did feel
Yeah, I
like a
can see
normal
that.
Mario game.
I can see that. Okay.
Yeah.
So back to Mario being great. So not best game ever but good.
Yeah. Yeah. I think okay. First of all, I think like the initial playthrough is great. I think once you get like just from point A to point B and the story ends, like that part is excellent. I'm going to talk about the end game stuff a little bit later. I think my like biggest problem with the game is that the theme of the game is that this game is huge and that you're on this gigantic awesome journey, but a lot of the levels, because you can basically go anywhere in the levels themselves feel a little constrained. Like when you first start a level, you're like, I can go anywhere, and then like 20 minutes later you're like, I went everywhere.
Yes. There's
And that
definitely a
is
few of those.
yeah, there's a few of those, and I think the thing that makes it worse is that there's a lot of levels that aren't like that, like Donk City. The sand level, which is like the second level of the game, makes you
Yeah.
think like, holy crap, this game is gonna be humongous because that sand level is like one of the best levels in the game, but it's the second level, and it's one of the biggest levels in the game, but it's the second level.
See,
Um,
I almost feel like they set your expectations prior to that because I was nervous at
yeah,
first because when you go to the Cap Kingdom at the beginning,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
literally just like two houses, and then you go to the Cascade Kingdom where it's just kind of this one mountain. I was kind of going, okay, I'm a little nervous here because I don't know how big these things are going to be. This seems very
yeah,
confined, and then you get there and it just opens the whole thing up and it's huge. You're
yeah,
like, okay, this is crazy. And then I actually don't mind it because I think it does a good job of kind of not over expanding the game to a point where it's not good. And I think
yeah,
that might be. I think we have very different takes on open world games a lot of times,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm not a big fan of open world games. So I'm not a fan of just this is big, so it's big.
yeah.
I don't necessarily need all of the empty space in between, especially in a game like Mario. In a game like
Hmm.
Zelda, I think it fits a bit better. But in a game like Mario,
Yeah,
I don't need to sit here and go, "Oh my gosh, I need to go and cross the giant mountain to get to the other side of the Snow Kingdom."
yeah,
When
yeah.
no, we just put all the Snow Kingdom. It's all right here. You can do everything you want to do in the Snow Kingdom, then you can move on. So I'm kind of okay with that,
Hmm.
but I could definitely see that being a complaint just because of the way it's advertised, because of the way it's shown as this huge giant thing.
Yeah.
And really, it's a huge giant thing because there's several different of these smaller things.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think too, I think just the idea of like, if you look back kind of like the traditional Mario games, like you spend, what is it? It's like 8 levels about per world sort of thing. Is
Yeah,
that true?
yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah, 5 to 10.
Yeah. So it feels like you spend a lot of time in those worlds and they feel big, quote unquote, in 2D Mario games because you're traveling a long distance, so to speak, over 8 levels kind of thing. So when it come to a new level in Odyssey, it's like this is a kingdom. It's like, okay, this is gonna be big. And then it's just like you see like you just feel, I feel like I saw the edges like immediately because the game just expects you to explore so much, like you just see the edges like so quickly, and I think that's just my biggest complaint. I think outside of that though, like just the creativity was just like I just out of, oh my god, just like out of my mind with how cool some of the levels were. I think like the cutscenes were surprisingly awesome. I
Yeah,
thought I really again I think like that like little Mexican town thing. It's like a frozen desert kind of thing that has like weird Incan and
Hmm.
Mayan
Oh yeah.
stuff. And then they also have like a really cool lion that you ride. Jaxie is like was my favorite part of the game. The game peaked for me at Jaxie, I think, which is why.
You're done 2.5 hours in. Just no,
Yeah,
it's never getting better. See, actually, I have a similar feeling because that Tyrannosaurus Rex at the very beginning,
yeah,
like that's the moment that I think everybody talked about with this game, and you put that within the first probably 45 minutes, depending on exactly how you played it.
yeah.
Um, that felt really weird to me at first. It was like, oh my god, like if you're starting with this, what are you gonna
Where are you
do
doing
by
it?
the end? And it was,
Yeah,
and of all the captures, I think that might be the best, not best
best.
necessarily,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
the biggest, like the coolest seeming one of I'm this T Rex, and
yeah,
that's right there at the beginning. So I do think it's kind of thinking about it now, it is kind of oddly paced. Not that that's really a problem with a Mario game, but
yeah,
you do kind of have these weird expectations set at the beginning with I'm capturing a T-Rex. I'm in the biggest world within the first 2 hours of the game.
yeah, yeah,
And then but I think it almost makes up for that just because the way the story builds, not even necessarily the story, but some of the weird things they do inside these levels. And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think the weirdness of it is almost what helps it build more so than the I'm capturing these bigger and bigger creatures. I'm going to bigger and bigger worlds because you get towards the
Hmm.
end, you get the cool Mario Kart mini game in the Snow Kingdom, which is a ton of
Yeah.
fun. You get what might be the most random and weirdest level I've ever seen in a Mario game, where you get to the big ass dragon,
Oh my
which
god, that is
that
so
came
good.
so far out of nowhere that like you get those moments. So it's almost like they said, you know what, we know you're expecting us to build these captures, and we know you're
Yeah,
expecting us to make the worlds bigger. Instead, we're just gonna do weird stuff in each one and make that what makes you want to go on, not bigger and bigger
yeah,
and bigger, but different and different and different. And every
yeah,
place felt like it had that unique moment, whether it
yeah,
was a
yeah,
part of the boss fight or whether it was a quick scene in a cutscene or whether it was just something you bumped into naturally in that world. Everything had this unique thing there, and I can almost in you could almost say a kingdom, and I could say, "Yup, that's the one where this happened. This cool thing happened," which
yeah,
you don't get in older Mario games because it's mostly, "Oh yeah, it's just yep, it's the next one. It's the one with the sand, right?" And
yeah,
oh,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
what was the boss in that one? I don't remember. Whereas this, it's like the Luncheon Kingdom. Oh yeah, that had the bird in the stew pot, and you can go
Yeah,
back and you can think about all these different things.
yeah. No, I think it's a really good point. I do think every level, even the levels I didn't particularly like, just had their sort of standout moments, or they had some like standout mechanic. Like I think level design wise, my least favorite level was the Lost Land because it was so small. I was like when I say like Lost Land, I was like, oh man, is this gonna be like what I
Oh, that
that
was like
level
the
particularly?
jungly one that you crashed in, right?
Yeah, and I thought it was gonna like allude to like a past Mario game or something. Like, oh crap, this is the ruins of something. It didn't really, but it had a really neat mechanic, which was that like those caterpillar
Oh, those
things. Like
caterpillars were so cool. Yeah.
yeah, and that was such a fun mechanic. I didn't like particularly enjoy that world. I really like that mechanic. The beach world. That was another one. I was kind of tepid on. It's that one's such a weird level to me for whatever reason. Is the beach world, and that's where you basically travel that world primarily by like an enemy type where you fly on the water.
Yeah, the fish, like the jet propelled fish.
Yeah, the jet propelled fish, which is like it's really it's like I think that's like one of the weird levels for sure. But that boss battle is like awesome because
Oh
it
yeah.
like goes over the entire level and you're flying around and stuff.
And even
Yeah,
well, even that fish, just like because there's a couple of moons that you have to get to where you're going up and into land, and you kind of almost have to like manage your water resource as you're going up there to try and see like okay, like oh okay, there's a pond up there, so if I go this way and I hit that pond, then I can.
yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. And it's like that, and it is cool that they feel like they can like completely change the mechanics of each level. And that one especially felt like, okay, we're going all in on this weird mechanic,
Yeah.
and you better figure it out how to do it because like the boss is based on it, getting around the levels based on everything's based on it. So, I really did like those aspects. I think I really like I like the Luncheon Kingdom too. I like you're treated like a piece of meat or whatever.
And the peppers being thrown at you at one part, and just so ultimately I think this all builds up to what is my favorite world from purely a just joy feeling is
Yeah.
the Mushroom Kingdom at the end, which I think that's one of those things that is there, and as soon as it like is even hinted at and as soon as you like see it, you're just like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening right now. That was one of those things that just walking around there, it's like I can that's the castle. I can go in the castle. Like the moat's still there. Like what? Just
Yeah,
the whole time you're walking around,
yeah.
you're like, when you walk in, you're like, this still looks like the castle. Can I go in? And the whole time you're just sitting there like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. This is Mario 64. It's exactly like Mario 64. What are you doing? Why did you save this till the end? Can I do more of this? And then you're like, oh, this is really all that's here.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, I honestly think that Mario 64 level is like the perfect example of the best and worst aspects of this game. Is when you first get to it, you're like, I can, oh my, and then you're like, oh, okay, there's clearly the boundary here. This actually isn't the thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's not what I have in my head. Like, that one definitely sets up your expectations and shatters them for like.
Well, but again, I don't think it shattered them. It was just one of those things where it was like, you see it and you want more, and like you almost in my head, I'm like, they're just gonna let me play Mario 64 for the post game of this, and that was almost my thought is like, okay, how many Mario 64 levels did you recreate to put in here? So I think it's almost one of those things where the game is so good and does everything you want every time you see something almost.
Yeah.
That when you see that, your mind just goes, oh my gosh, like, what did you do here? And then you're like, oh no, you just kind of recreated it as kind of a fun little post game world to run around in for a minute or two. And I think that's almost more of, but that's cool in and of its own sense. I think it's one of those things where there's that moment of disappointment just because you're comparing this kind of this novelty post game thing to this incredible game that you've been playing for 10 hours, and you're like, okay, no, that was just like a fun joke you threw in at the end. Like, okay, a little disappointed,
relax.
but I get it. But I get it. That was awesome, and that was amazing, and I was so happy for that half hour when I first got there.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that level is like really cool. I think though, like I think the immediate disappointment hit for me was because it's like my first thing was like, oh shoot, I wonder if I can drain the moat. Oh, you get Yoshi there. Oh no, the first thing was like I found Yoshi because I was thinking when I went to the castle, I was like, because the thing that made me think about Yoshi was because when you go to the castle and you look up at the sun, like it actually gives you a moon for doing that. I was like, okay, that's kind of neat. Like, because that's one of the things that you do to unlock, I think, one of the secret hat levels in Mario 64. And I was thinking, I was like, wait, in the other game you met Yoshi when you got to the top of the roof, and I was like, they didn't do it. And you get up top and like Yoshi's there. I was like, holy, that was like, and then it was like, oh my god, I was like, they really did the Yoshi thing. Oh my god, they like didn't remake Mario 64. And then like I got to the first painting, I was like, and it's just a boss battle. Crap.
See, but I went completely different because I was like, I gotta go in the castle. Like I can go. Can I go in the castle? Like you're messing with me. I can't go in the castle. So I got right in the castle. I was like, oh my god, I can go in the castle. Like, okay, where's there into the? Oh, it's just this one room. Okay.
Yeah, there's no doors. You're like, oh shit.
But I still think that's ultimately like I think that just sums up this game as like we wanted to do something cool, and we just did whatever came to our minds and threw it in this, no matter how weird it seemed, whether it's a big giant dragon in a very Dark Souls-esque world,
very Dark Souls,
or redoing some parts from Super Mario 64, or throwing peppers at you, or making you a T-Rex, whatever it is like we had this idea, so here it is, which is really cool. So ultimately it comes down to, though, just getting moons, and it's so simple that like that's all you do in the game is just go get moons, and some of the moons are really cool. I love the 2D stuff. Like whenever you find a 2D one, those are always like I'm instantly excited about that, and I love that the music changes and just all the little subtle things with that when you go into the little 2D worlds. So well done. But ultimately it comes down to just picking up moons. So I don't remember where I was at when I finished, but I'm somewhere 200-ish, 230 maybe. I know I pushed past 200 last time I had it. I was playing it for a bit. Wow, where did you end up at?
501.
Damn.
Because what happened was I think what my biggest like I'll say like the things I was talking about before like kind of be like minor issues, but like I have like serious issues with the post game because the post game just made it like not fun anymore for me. I think because I got all 500 because like basically what happens is they do the thing where they sort of hint that there's more kingdoms to come.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go see these kingdoms. This is my favorite aspect of the game, is actually seeing the kingdoms. There are two kingdoms. Spoilers. There are two kingdoms that you get for getting to 500.
Yeah.
One is called the Dark Side of the Moon.
Yep.
Which is probably one of the worst. It is the worst level. Like, it looks like they did it on a weekend. I don't know why that level looks so bad. And it's just modified boss battles of the rabbit guys. And then when I got to 500, this is this is it's not really a spoiler, but it's just that really super hard Mario challenge thing that they put at the end of every game.
Yeah.
But it's not. There's no new. I would say there's not like any new assets or anything like that. It's not set in a world you haven't seen before. It's just like it's just more of the same assets. It's just a much more difficult thing. I think my biggest problem with the moons though is that I feel like they need to be tiered because sometimes I feel like I spend a lot of time working for this one moon. While if you go to the Mario 64 level, there's like a character that literally hands them out. So
Yeah, they're very different.
yeah, and I just didn't like that like it felt like I really struggled for some of these moons, but the ones I really struggled for had the exact same worth as the ones that like just kind of ran across,
But
sort of thing.
but I think that's ultimately comes down to how you want to play this game. And I think
Yeah.
I pretty much hit the end game, the Super Mario 64 level, the Mushroom Kingdom, and I don't remember where I was. I've kind of like picked it up for an hour, got 4 or 5, did something else, waited a couple
Yeah.
days, picked it up, got 4 or 5. And I think you did much more of the like, I finished this game, I'm gonna get those 500, because I looked up like,
Yeah.
oh, you can get another like 70 moons and get something new. I was like, okay, like what is the post game thing here that I'm building to? Is this gonna be worth?
Yeah.
And I kind of was like, oh, okay, boss rush, whatever. I'm not that worried about it. So I think that changes it a little bit is how you play it. Because I mean,
Yeah.
if you're really struggling, you're going like, oh, I need to get to 500, I need to get to 500. You're sitting there at 498, and you spend an hour trying to get one, and then
Yeah.
you go into the next world, and the dude in the taxi cab standing there is like, oh, you found me. Here you go. And you're like, shit, I could have just done this the whole damn time. I'm just trying to find a taxi guy, and there's my moon. So I really
Yeah.
think it's a matter of how you play this, because I still can sit down and just find 4 or 5 easy moons and just have a good time jumping around. But I
Yeah.
can very easily see that getting monotonous. And I think
Yeah.
because there's so much in this, because there's upwards of 1,000, I think, right around there somewhere. I don't remember the exact final
Something
number,
crazy. Yeah.
but I think it's just one of those things where you can make this as big and as hard of a game as you want to. If you want to go around and find each and every one of those, go for it. But
Yeah.
that's one of those things where I think sometimes 100% of a game ruins it, and that's why
Yeah.
I tend not to, just because I think a lot of times that feeling you get when you finish it is just diminished by the monotony of doing this one task over and over again, just so I can say, yeah, I 100%ed it.
Yeah, and that is yeah, that's absolutely true. And I think the problem with it too is like of those 500, so that's like an extra 200. That's like probably an extra 300 stars. I would say maybe 20 of those had something like really interesting in them. Most of them are just doing things you've already done, except now it's a little bit harder. I think some of the platforming challenges are really fun. I think those are really good.
Yeah.
There's sort of these like mini challenge worlds where they'll sometimes throw a new mechanic at you and like just learn this new mechanic and do it for that level. And I think those are pretty fun. But I just think that like of the like that massive amount at the end, there's only like a very very small percentage where they do something really fun or something really really unique. So I kind of wish that like there was, and that's what I was saying. Like I wish there was some sort of list that's kind of denoted different types of stars. Like this one is hard, but it's like a jumping challenge, so those are kind of fun. I think the racing ones are really fun actually.
Yeah.
I thought those ones are really cool because they make you like rethink how you do these levels. How to get around the levels because you can't just go down the straight racing path that you would expect to go down because you're going to lose, so you need to like get creative. So I think those are really fun, but I just there's just so many of the moons that just like I don't know, they felt like Riddler trophies, so it felt like I played this like really awesomely creative game for that first half that's like constantly throwing you new surprises,
Yeah.
constantly doing this, constantly doing that, and as soon as you get the end game it's like completely antithetical to that, where it's like it's no longer about discovery, it's no longer about finding new things, it's about doing the same things you just did again but different. I think that was kind of my biggest problem with it, and that's why I didn't like that end game. But I wouldn't normally for most games say like the end game is so important, but because this game like I think it really expects you to get in the end game a little bit, like right off the bat. Like, hey, the Odyssey's getting bigger, you can go somewhere else. Like, oh, okay, cool. Like that's okay. There's more of this game, and then like, well, there's not really.
But I think
You know what I mean?
I think a lot of games do that. But
Yeah.
I think that it's different being a Mario game, and I think that in and of itself encourages people to go and do that end game, because Mario over the course of, I don't even know, what are we at, like 30 years, 25 years, something, I don't know, but over the
More
course
than
of
that,
over the course of that time, you've built up this idea of like there's always a secret world, there's always another path, there's always, in the 3D games, there's 64 and Sunshine, there's always a couple more that you can find, there's always more. So I think,
Yeah.
and I think that Mushroom Kingdom level essentially said, yes, there is more. You're done with the game when you get to Mushroom Kingdom. There's nothing story related, nothing, anything really once you get to Mushroom Kingdom other than you can see Peach and say hi. Um,
Yeah.
so I think that does build this expectation of something else. And I think when you go to the Odyssey, and again, it says, you know, you need another 75, 200, depending on where you're at, moons.
Yeah.
You do have this gut feeling of like, I should do something else. Whereas a lot of other games have those things in them, but they don't necessarily hint at it. It's just like, oh yeah, you can get the rest of the stuff if you want to, and then you get it and you're like, oh, that unlocked something. That's cool. Whereas this is directly telling you like, hey, if you want to keep going, there is more here. We're not going to tell you if it's something crazy amazing or just something simple, but you can get something else. So I think they almost drive and they push you to it.
Yeah.
And there's that intrinsic want to just because it's a Mario game, but ultimately I do feel like there's not a ton there other than what you've done, because again, a lot of the extra moons are remixed boss battles, going back to the same kingdom and just finding one other little thing to get into.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I think my expectation for it was not that I would find another Mario 64 level, but just like another kingdom of the same caliber of the other kingdoms I played. And
or even even something just small like the Cap Kingdom at the beginning, where it's something new.
Just something. And then like so I spent, it's like basically my first 10 hours of the game were like incredible, or 12 or 15, I don't know, whatever. I actually spent quite a bit of time actually getting through the game the first time. And then like the rewards in that game, it's like reward, and whether that's new levels or new costumes or new this or new that.
Yeah.
And then like the other 15 hours I put on top of that, it's just like, it's just the you said at the beginning of this, like the pacing's a little weird. It's like the pacing just like tanks at that point, because it's just like you don't get rewards that often. The rewards you get aren't that exciting. It's just, and I don't know why that is. So I don't know, like it's like I feel like on one hand, like I really really love this game, would have been 10 out of 10, but like I'm so comfortable knocking off that one point to make it a 9 out of 10 that like it's like, and that's why I'm just like, I'm surprised when people are like, oh yeah, this is like one of the best games ever. It's like I can see that if I ended it at the part where like you get to the Mario 64 level and you're like, okay, that's cool, I'm done.
See, and I'm much closer to that. This is probably one of the best games I've ever played than you are, and I think that's because of how he handled Endgame, and I think that's because my pretty much ending memory of that is sitting there going, oh my god, I'm in Mario 64 again.
Yeah.
Okay, I turn that off and I'll come back to it, and then just going back to it here and there. And I think, but I think that's the case with a lot of things. Is, you know, where you end definitely colors your opinion of it. And I think
exactly.
Me sitting here going like, that moment where I got to Mario 64, that moment where I saw the dragon, that moment where I got the T-Rex, those are my dominant memories. Whereas now you're sitting here going like, I've played this twice. You've played this twice as long as I have, essentially. Going, yeah. And then there was that time I spent 20 minutes wandering around the stupid beach kingdom trying to find one more moon, and I couldn't find the damn thing.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think it kind of like weirdly like kind of like it superseded those awesome memories I had before, which is why it's like, man, I kind of wish we'd record this, but I kind of don't wish we'd record this right after I played it, because I would definitely have like two different opinions coming out of that game. Sure. Like when you like, if we're talking about spoiler stuff, like you become Bowser at the end, like that's
how do we not talk about that yet? That was the thing ever, But that's the thing, like this game has so many of those that I forgot I was Bowser. Like
that
happened. I literally sat here on my couch going like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, like, like the whole time, like I couldn't tell you what the music was. I was just there like, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit.
Yeah, no, exactly. And like when you first go to Bowser, like it does this awesome like nostalgia bomb of like all of your Mario and Bowser fights. Like when you're going into his brain, they show the pictures from all the fights. It's like, this is awesome. And then you play as Bowser, and it's like, and the cutscene at the end is really fun and cool, and like just everything is just like, it's just so explosive and awesome, and it's just it's cool. Oh, I guess not to end on like a sour note, but did you feel like there are going to be other Mario characters in this game, and like they just felt missing?
I wouldn't say they felt missing. It was one of those things where I expected cameos just because of like, we had like New Donk City, and that was kind of like, oh, that's Pauline. Like you had that from the first, I don't know if it was the first trailer, but towards one of the early trailers. So I think it always had this feeling of like, oh, there might be something else in here.
Yeah.
And I know there's some costume stuff towards the end of like getting like specific costumes geared towards other characters and things like that, but I don't think I ever looked forward to it. But I think it was one of those things where it was in the back of my mind like, oh, I wonder if I'm going to see, like the whole time I'm in New Donk City, like I wonder if I'm going to see Donkey Kong, or I'm going to see Diddy Kong, or I'm going to see lots more of that. Like I wonder if, more so than like a disappointed note.
No, yeah, I guess that's true. I think especially because that celebration, that we didn't even talk about that. Like that's such a, that's
that was
the celebration part at the end, like in the back of my head, it's like, is it gonna be awesome if Donkey Kong comes in and like messes with this or something like that?
Yeah.
I
Oh
thought
yeah.
that's what's gonna happen. And like during the whole celebration, which is a very like just that's like one of the best like video game scenes. Like I think you sent me a text because I think you're a little bit far ahead of me. And you
Yeah.
said I just played one of the best scenes like of any video game I've ever played. And I think
Yep.
it was that
It
celebration.
was
Scene.
the celebration scene at the end of New York City. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like that whole time, like, damn, if like Donkey Kong's gonna go, oh cool, let's go. And I think like at the end of all of this, I think Mario Odyssey sets up your wild expectations, and sometimes it does meet them, so you expect the other expectations to be met,
Yep.
which it doesn't. And
Yes.
I think, and so I don't know if that's on me or if that's on Nintendo. I'm just gonna blame Nintendo. I'm totally
You made your game too good. You made your game so good I thought you would make it better. You made a borderline perfect game and I thought it'd be better than a perfect game. So way to go.
Yeah, I kinda. Yeah, that makes it. Yeah, yeah. I think. Yeah. But I think I'm correct in saying that. Like that sets your expectations, and when it meets it, you expect it to also meet other expectations, and it doesn't. So.
Oh yeah, there's the 98% like, oh my god, I love this, and the 2% like, oh, it would have been that would have been a cool moment to do blank.
Yeah.
And,
Where's it?
Yeah.
Where's this in your like game? I'm not gonna have game of the year stuff too much, but I know we've been sort of like debating kind of back and forth. I know like I don't know if that's like maybe too early to get into. But
With what I have left to play this year and what's coming out left this year, I don't know if I'll get to Xenoblade before that or not. That one might be
Yeah.
up there because I did like the other one. So as of right now, I could not tell you. It'll depending on the day, it would be this Zelda or Horizon. I couldn't tell you right now, but those three are definitely fighting it out at the top.
yeah, yeah, it's between this and Horizon, I think.
Yeah,
for
but
me
to be fair,
currently,
you're only
for
like
sure.
8 hours into Zelda.
We're not
That's a
talking
different
about
conversation.
that.
So come back in a month or two for a Game of the Year awards.
I don't. Zelda's okay.
I don't want to. Okay, we're gonna leave it there because that's gonna make a fight. So, anyway, we're Workforce Gaming. You can follow us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter at Workforce Gaming. We'll see you later.
Bye. End it quick.